I remember young Regina, the dreams she had about making an impact. Back then, my doubts got in the way. This is why I said yes immediately to the Kids for Kids team when they reached out to me to become involved in one of their initiatives. Kids for Kids enables youth agency through programs that give real-life experiential learning outside the classroom to young people to develop skills and mindset to ideate and implement their passion projects with purpose, addressing the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. I am Regina Larco. You are listening to #Impact, a podcast about stuff that matters. And today you meet the founder of Kids for Kids and two of the young women that make a massive impact with their social enterprises and initiatives born and grown out of the Kids for Kids Powered by Youth Forum. We met when I was taking part in one of your Powered by Youth forums that you have been running for many years, this impactful program where you are inspiring and empowering young people to become change makers. And I was there just as a participant in awe of how you pulled it all off. But yeah, Michelle, that day, what went wrong? What was going on behind the scenes?
Quite a lot, because that year, Regina, that was 2020. So that was the first time we actually hosted our Powered by Youth Forum online. Prior to that, always been in person every year, but sometimes we do get speakers that join via Skype, before the days of Zoom, and from different places. And sometimes, online, it works and it doesn't work, but that year we pulled it off. I mean, honestly, doing an event in person is much easier than online because, with online, you need to keep the person engaged because they could walk off and not come back after their lunch break. It's a 2-day full-on event and it's longer than a school day. Even when we used to do it in person, it is longer than a school day. And I used to laugh because in the afternoon, everyone would be like hungry. They would be looking for snacks. We'd be at this venue where the whole vending machine was emptied at 3. I was like, what's going on? And I realized that the teenagers were hungry. So then every year then we would introduce afternoon snacks, bring in some nice bananas and fresh things and apples and all that. Because it's 9 to 5. It's a long day, physically, mentally, they're on. And, really grateful. Every year we get amazing young people where in the morning they would come not knowing what to expect. And then in the afternoon, and they might not even know each other. And they'll come with their, I'm different, or, we're not the same, and that kind of baggage, almost, or mindset. And then in the afternoon, then they realize, oh my goodness, there are so many people in this room or in this space that care about the same things and are like me, very like-minded on what we enjoy on that. And when you see this sort of nice power of having a group together, a community that they realize then, oh, I'm not alone on this, actually, and together we can do more kind of feeling. It's magical. Volunteers every time, whether it's, in your case, it was online, but in person, you feel the vibe there. And Bailey was there the first time in 2019 in person before it went online, 2019. And the vibe is, I can't explain it. You have to be there in person to experience. And it's a lot of positivity at the end of the day, right? So, on that note, I'm the organizer. We see a lot of things that go wrong. I always share with our young people that organize and the team, but most of the young people that nobody knows, just like a show that you see on Broadway or on stage. Nobody knows if someone missed a step, right? Only we do. So we don't have to beat ourselves up about that, but we just need to make sure we problem solve and move forward. And it really is to put on a good show, right? And to work as a team. So I think the teamwork is something that the young people like Bailey and her peers, we call them the advocates leadership team. This is something that, as a kickoff of the year, that's when, it's a real good bonding time. Sure, there'll be some frustration. Oh, so and so just, didn't do that or said that way. But that's okay, because at the end of the day, it's not about one person, it's about the team, right? So that's a big focus. And communication. I would say to them, if something's not working, don't keep it to yourself. You have to ask for help or problem solve it yourself, right? And so these are like real life learning, I feel, that happens like today for you as well.
We're not gonna go into my life learnings of today. We're gonna spare the listeners that. But yeah, it's just, coming from that perspective of being involved as a speaker at your conference, having you here as the organizer, Michelle, Kids for Kids, so many years, so many decades of work, so many initiatives. I mean, the Powered by Youth Forum is just one of them. And then having Bailey here as one of the, participants, winners of the year before, when you took home initial funding for your amazing organization Rebooked, and now actually becoming a team member in this advocacy leadership team. I mean, I feel this is such a full circle moment in a way, or I can just imagine how beautiful this feels to Michelle to see you, Bailey, as well, grow your impact, not just with Rebooked. I mean, Bailey, I got digging about all the things you do. You run your own podcast together with an amazing other impact network. You have your own platform where you're looking at sustainable living. I mean, there's so much, but especially maybe Rebooked as an example for what can come out and what can be growing out of this beautiful Kids for Kids initiative. You fill us in. How was that for you to win that year? And what did you do with that? Where did you take it from there?
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely a major full circle moment. Honestly, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was definitely going to talk about how much of a full circle it was. But yes, so in the beginning of 2019 was when I really started Rebooked. And Rebooked is a nonprofit social enterprise focusing on sustainability and children's literacy. We're essentially a secondhand platform for kids' books here in Hong Kong. And it was during these first few months where I was really looking for collaborators and for partners to work with and expand Rebooked's reach and Rebooked's growth. And one of the people I reached out to, or one of the organizations I reached out to, was Kids for Kids. And I'd heard of Kids for Kids through my school, who has a chapter of Kids for Kids. So I decided just to shoot an email and see where that led us. And I eventually got a response from Michelle actually inviting me to Powered by Youth, which again is quite funny because Powered by Youth is, again, what connects all of us. But inviting me to Powered by Youth and to join as a participant in it. And then following Powered by Youth, she said, we could talk more about partnerships and working together. So at that time, I was really looking for any sort of collaboration possible. So I was very excited to be a member or to be a participant in Powered by Youth. Although I really didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into, I'm very glad it did happen. It was a really eventful day full of, like Michelle said, it's, there's Powered by Youth on one day and then the following weekend as well. So really a full-on event. And it talks about, tapping into your own power and your own purpose and sort of looking at what the skills you have or what the skills you possess already are, where your interests lie, and also sort of what the world needs. And for me, this was, a great internal, reflection of what I was trying to do with Rebooked. It was also an incredible networking event because all of the amazing students, participants, the volunteers, the speakers they're all very open to network, and I've made some of my closest friends through Kids for Kids powered by youth, and also some of my strongest connections. So it's really been incredible with that. But then I also really appreciated, like you said, like the competition and funding aspect. On the second day of the event, there was a pitch competition, and I was one of the many teams awarded startup funding for Rebooked at the time. That was my project that I pitched that year. And aside from the funding, we were also provided with mentorship for quite a few months after the event, which I found incredibly influential and significant in Rebook's expansion and journey, because Kids for Kids really does try to find a mentor that is very much in sync with what you are doing, and they're very deliberate about that. So it's really helping you tap into your purpose and your power in both a financial support sense, but also in terms of individualized support and guidance.
Michelle, when we're looking at your impact, and you need to raise funds for your organization, and I read that in another interview with you, or wait, was it another podcast maybe, where you also shared that, of course, it can be really tricky to show this impact that you're actually making, because it is something that is intrinsic, something that you can't really touch, but you're still showcasing that in your more than 1 decade of work by examples like Bailey. But I mean, she's just one of the so many change makers that started growing their impact through the inspiration that they found in your programs. How do you go about that impact question?
So when we look at impact or outcome, sometimes these two words can, some people look at impact as being how many people, or, hard figures. And so I'm using the word also outcome, because that somehow takes, to me, also like impact, a bit longer to demonstrate. And we're now trying to track longitudinal, over the years. And of course, through interviews, testimonials, podcasts like this, with the sharing, it's authentic. And from hearing from them, the voice, it's authentic. And you can't script it. The nice thing with the impact, as you said, is that it's not just impacting one Bailey. It's one Bailey who impacts also the people around her, whether it's through, same like Kids for Kids, we believe in this one to many. So if I impact one, it actually sort of ripples to a community or the people around them. So the impact has been far-reaching. I think how we track it, we can't track it in one way. Oh, I've impacted 30 projects or 90 students. We try to track then from that, how many other people have you reached? How many posts have you done? Just to see then they're influences, right? They're influencing people around them as well. So it's not easy. We're still learning how to track the impact. It's tricky because it's not a simple one thing, right? So we're trying to still look at holistically the whole community and not just the community, all the different aspects and all the different, you could say, spokes out of this. How are we impacting? And I'm still learning, and I think that's the beauty of it as well, because I feel that it's been something that has been the ethos of Kids for Kids. Not only do we impart that to young people like Bailey, but we also embrace it, where we're constantly evolving, learning, adapting, changing, and to keep ahead of what's out there. So we're not sort of just organizing something that maybe it's already outdated.
Bailey, how should I put this? I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. You are a senior at high school, right? And I remember that time when I was a senior at high school. And it's so much about having the courage to go up there to begin with this idea and feeling brave enough to share. How was that experience for you? Like, if you look back to now, not only that the moment when you pitched there in 2019, but also I think your history goes back way further even, right? With your first connection that you had with Kids for Kids. How has that, I guess, what I want to try uncover is like, how has that process for you been, or that development, that feeling of maybe not ready to actually pitch, but then actually doing it, and then even going on to winning it?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say that being involved with Kids for Kids has definitely enhanced my confidence. Because with Kids for Kids, there are so many opportunities to speak out and to take on a leadership role and to really try something that you may not, be the most, you may not be an expert in prior to being a part of ALT or being a part of PBY. For me personally, when I started at PBY, I was 13. I was 14 at the time, actually, and I had limited experience pitching. I had limited experience speaking to a stage, but I really, I don't know. At that point, my mentality was, what could go wrong? There's no negative outcome. I, go up, pitch, and don't win. Okay, it's a learning experience, and I'll take away something better for next time. And if I do go up and pitch, the possibilities are endless. The possibility of mentorship, the possibility of funding that could really go a long way. So I think my mentality since the beginning has been, it's always a win-win situation in these types of contexts. And even then, it's easier to say than to execute. But I will say I've been trying to implement that with whether it be pitching through Powered by Youth or hosting or launching a new event or initiative for Kids for Kids. And even before that, when I participated in Kids for Kids, my story creation program, creating my own little picture book when I was younger, it was really sort of, there's no negative outcome. I'm not losing anything apart from my time and effort, and the possibilities to gain are endless.
If I could also add to what Bailey just shared, I mean, I think, just try to do something rather than do nothing is really something we saying to the young people. But also I was, as you said, Regina, one of the organizers and audience in 2019 when I first met Bailey and then coming on stage that day for her. And what was really quite beautiful as an organizer, as an adult, so a lot of other students might come with their friend, or maybe they would come with, a group from their school. And there were a few individuals, only very few. And Bailey was one of them, where she came by herself. So she didn't know anyone.
Yes.
And she, we worked in small groups and all that. And so before they go on stage to do final pitching, there is a preliminary sort of round where we sort through the top, or you could say the top 10 scoring that we put through the finalists on stage. And so she had to, again, pitch in front of them in a smaller setting in the classroom, her peers. Then, she was one of the selected and they were not. And she doesn't know them, right, at all. And then when they came into the auditorium, it was so amazing to watch, almost gives me goosebumps even now, recalling it, that they were like giving her a huge round of applause, of encouragement when she was going on stage. They didn't need to, and that shows huge respect.
Yeah.
I think huge respect. And I think for someone like Bailey who came to the event herself, it's a big encouragement boost. As she said, whether she would
Mm-hmm.
win or not, but to have that encouragement from the community, the group, and of people that you don't really know other than the last few days, and just to have that warm clapping when she went on stage, and again huge clapping when she finished her pitch. It was really beautiful to
Yes.
experience from me as an organizer.
Yes, absolutely. That sense of community is really prevalent in all of the Kids for Kids events. It's not often that you are put into a group of, the same people. So it's typically very random, right? But, exiting any Kids for Kids event, so, that experience back in 2019, and then also my experience as a participant in Powered by Youth this past year as well, there's really that sense of community and encouragement, because at the end of the day, everyone there is happy to see change being made, regardless if it's by them or, by their peers. So there's definitely that, encouragement and strength in community.
I felt it too as a speaker, and it's even through the screen, I felt it, and it meant a lot to me that I could be part of it, and the beautiful connections that were made, and the voices that we've been recording that day as well. It was amazing. I will put that in the show notes, because you can actually listen to some of the things we had recorded then that day. And in our ongoing season, we addressed the sustainable development goals, and I love your thought on how this all fits in with what you do day in and day out. And actually, let's bring that up. Bailey, I read in an interview where you shared you work on your social impact initiatives, and I'm saying it now in plural because Rebooked is just one of them, right? There's more that you do. But you are a busy senior in high school getting ready to look at university applications. There's like so much going on that you have to do just for schoolwork. And we have to put this also in context a bit. You go to school in Hong Kong, where there is an enormous amount, not saying that it isn't in other places as well, but there is this pace and pressure that I have heard, at least from young people sharing that go to school in Hong Kong, that there is a big workload already when it comes to schoolwork. But you spend 2 hours, I read, 2 hours a day then on your impact initiatives. And in the weekend, you're standing in the store, right? In your Rebooked store, where you engage with the customers. And I'm just like, wow, we have to put on the record, making an impact is also hard work. Like, you have to put in the hours. You are putting in the hours. But at the same time, then you are making that impact, right? But when you're looking at the sustainable development goals, is there any motivation for you in that? I guess, Bailey, is there anything where you see like the bigger picture of it all in a global conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that prior to starting Rebooked, I really did not have a super solid grasp of what the SDGs were, or even, what global issues were like around the world. But I think as I continue to pursue Rebooked, and I continue to pursue my other endeavors like EcoGo and the podcast, I'm starting to have a better grasp on the scale of these issues and how important it is for us to solve them. So particularly with Rebooked and the initiatives that I'm currently doing, it's really a focus on sustainability. With Rebooked, that's SDG number 11, sustainable cities and communities, and number 12 with responsible consumption and production, as well as just education in general. So I would say really within the global context, Rebooked tries to focus a lot on education, because as I said, as I continue to learn more, I truly understand the importance of books and access to books and learning and reading globally. And even just the presence of more books in the home can really make a true impact on what level of education a child decides to pursue or is able to pursue. So something, as small as having more books or us donating books to communities globally that need them, I hope that that will have an impact and change the lives of many different children who will be eventually able to pursue and do great things in the future too. So really, in a global context, for me, it's a focus on sustainability. It's and education to truly mobilize and empower kids everywhere.
And Michelle is nodding and smiling. It must be, I don't know, I feel like it must be it must be the best moments, Michelle, right? For you when you see the young people that you have the privilege working with share so eloquently, make such a great impact. And I'm just feeling with you, Michelle. You must be so proud. You must be so proud of all of them. And I mean, maybe let's give some more shout outs to Chadni, for example, from Lives Without Knives, and so many more. I've heard some on the podcast, on your podcast, Bailey, Never Too Early. Subscribe. I'm going to put it in the show notes as well, where you also had some people on that were going through the Kids for Kids program. I mean, there's so many. And maybe I just, and this, I pulled that off your website. Maybe that has already been updated. But your impact, Kids for Kids, Michelle, your organization that you founded more than a decade ago, inspired 29,134 volunteers, empowered 21,904 students, engaged with 300 schools, delivered services to 120 community centers. Holy moly, that was an idea in your head, Michelle, a few moons ago, and now look at that. How does that feel?
Yeah.
Are you taking time to celebrate? I guess I want to ask.
I haven't really had time to celebrate. Like, it's been, I must say, quite nonstop from the beginning. And I remember the early years, my husband actually over dinner table said to me, wow, I just met someone today, and they, in a business meeting, and they said that their daughter is involved with Kids for Kids. So it's quite, actually, even now, it's quite often he'll come back home and tell me, oh, today I met somebody, da da da. And early on, he did say, so how big do you want to make this? As a question. And I said, I'm not pushing it. It's just snowballing by itself. It's just growing by itself. So I haven't had time to really sit down and reflect. I mean, the nice thing is that every time we need to do our annual report or maybe the gala dinner that we do every 2 years for fundraising, then it's almost like I have to do some communications for that. So it's then that we take a stop check on the stories, the individuals, the numbers, and it's one is the numbers. The other is just the beauty of walking around and hearing. Sometimes they would even, I've had a friend one time say, because I said, oh, sorry, I can't do that because I have a meeting, Kids to Kids. They go, wow, how did they get you to volunteer so much? And I went, I have no choice. I said, I started it. And then they went, oh, you did? I thought it was some ex-banker lady or whatever, So what is really quite nice is that I can also, and there was a mummy friend, right? So it's nice that I can have also, we all juggle different things. So I call myself like a full-time volunteer because, to me, I also am a mum. I'm a wife. I've also started this just like for Bailey. She's a student. She's a change maker, entrepreneur. It's we all wear many hats. And to your earlier question, like, how does someone like even Bailey, being a busy senior, juggle it? Or what keeps me going? When I hear the stories, that's why I was smiling and nodding when Bailey was sharing, or when we go out to some of our workshops where we serve the low resourced, and you see that sort of aha moment, that spark, even if it was 100 students in that room, and I managed to get an aha moment with 2 or 3, I feel then I've done my job and I have a good day. And I go home and I have a big smile. And again, at the dinner table, how was your day? I went, oh, that was really good. Maybe it was chaotic with 100 students, having to run one of the workshops. I mean, I don't run it. I'm one of the volunteers, but if I could see that sparkle in the eyes of 2 or 3 students, I feel then I've made a change and I've done something, versus not going out that day or doing something different. To me, that was a good day for me. And that's what keeps me going, even though it's busy. And I hope that, the same thing for Bailey and yourself, that when you hear these stories, I mean, it just gives you a nice buzz to your day.
And it motivates you to keep going, definitely. That actually brings me to our legendary quick fire round. Are you ready? Making an impact means.
I'm going to take a note from Kids for Kids book here and say using your passion to make a purpose.
Making an impact means that you've taken one step forward to do something good, no matter how big or small.
Who inspires you in the way they are tackling the Sustainable Development Goals?
I'll go ahead with this one, I think. I would love to say Michelle Lai. And this is not just for the podcast, but if you know me, you do know Michelle. You do know Michelle is one of my mentors and one of my role models, as someone who's not only, done something amazing with Kids for Kids, but also takes the time to support individuals like myself, because you really want a leader who makes impact on a wider scale, but also on a personalized level.
This is real tears. Oh, thank you, Bailey. Thank you, Bailey. And so I think for me, I would reverse and say the young people.
And what could everyone do right now to make the world a better place?
I think for everyone to know that they have the power to make change, and they don't have to wait for someone else to do it. So really, there's a term called be an upstander, don't be a bystander. I think, it's, if everyone could just do like a helping hand, like it could be an act of kindness. Don't think that somebody else will fix that problem or help that person. So if everyone can do that in their day, just to do something nice and kind for someone other than themselves, I think that's my ask, and it will be good. Don't think about it, just do it.
So my one thing that people can do today is to listen to youth. A lot of times with youth activists, we may be a little bit inexperienced. We may not have titles or education to back us up, but the concerns that we bring to the table are very real. And even if people do not necessarily agree with what youth activists are saying, with the concerns that we have at the moment, I think it's very valuable insight to hear teens and hear youth and hear our opinions, because we truly are the leaders of the future. And I'd also say maybe not only listen to us, but also take action after that, whether it be becoming a mentor, like we've, very much so heavily emphasized in this podcast episode, or whether it be challenging us to develop our arguments or thoughts even further, supporting us in our mission. There's really something you can do to help amplify both the youth within your community and youth globally.
Yeah, just that. Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm not even going to ramble on and try to say something that would even come close to the amazing thing you just shared. Yeah, let's just all do that. Michelle, Bailey, thank you so much for joining me here today. Please send our listeners now to your website so they can follow, subscribe, do all they have to do. Where can we find you, Michelle?
Everyone can search for us on our social handle at Kids for Kids HK. That's KIDS 4, numeric 4, KIDS HK. So there you'll be able to find us on our website, Instagram, Facebook. Thank you so much, Regina. It's been amazing.
Yeah. Amazing. Bailey, how about Rebooked? Let's give a shout out to Rebooked and, of course, the podcast as well. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So Rebooked for Hong Kong is rebooked-hk.com. And then for the podcast, that's under Never Too Early on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Anchor. And then I also have another platform for sustainable businesses, as we mentioned before, and that is also based in Hong Kong. So ecogohk.org. So ECOGO. Wait, actually, let me say that. So actually the link for that is home.ecogohk.org. So home.ecogohk.org.
Yes.
And that's pretty much where you can find me.
And I'll put all of those links in the show notes so you can find the links. And again, thank you so much, and all the best for the next forums ahead. Powered by Youth coming up in the autumn. Yeah,
that's right. We have the dates for it already. So everyone can register.
We do indeed.
Again, you can find us at Kids for Kids HK or our website for more information, which is kidsforkids.org.hk. But you can register now and be there. It's going to be so exciting, right?
And not to spoil, and not to spoil anything, but some of the speakers that we do have coming and that are in their works are very, very exciting. So I do agree with Michelle on this one.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for today.
Thank you, Regina. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
There's another person that was meant to be in the room with us that day when we recorded. Chandni Satyeti was at her high school graduation ceremony. Congratulations, Chandni. And she was there in spirits with us. But I'm so glad that you get to hear her courageous voice now as well. I had the privilege meeting her in person a few months back in Hong Kong, and I was blown away by her passion and dedication to be the change that she wants to see in the world. Here's Chandni.
My time with Kids for Kids has truly changed my mindset, my approach to service, and my life as a whole. In my 3 years as a part of the Advocates leadership team, not only did I learn immensely from the invaluable experience of organizing Kids for Kids events together as a team, but my time in ALT was a wonderful mix of being given the power to create change, to build my network, and work alongside the most supportive and kind staff and team members. I remember attending my first Kids for Kids Powered by Youth Forum in 2018 as a requirement in a school leadership position, and I was so oblivious to how drastically this NGO could and had the power to change my life. I remember experiencing this amazingly planned event where each and every student felt empowered to create change, where our age, background, and ethnicity were forgotten because we were united by this common vision, a vision to make a change in our community. I still remember the amazing keynote speakers, the workshops, and the lifelong friends I made there, including Bailey, all because Powered by Youth Forum has a different energy, a pure energy that only Kids for Kids can give us, that consists solely of empowerment, encouragement, and confidence. At that Powered by Youth Forum, I had felt empowered to start my own community action project, which is where I began Lives Without Knives, which is now a youth-led social enterprise striving for a sustainable and plant-based future. I truly owe all my successes in Lives Without Knives to Kids for Kids, because it was their funding, mentorship, and most importantly, the faith they had in me that allowed me to establish and build the platform of 30 international members we have today. I started my work in Kids for Kids as a young, shy girl wanting to try something new. And today, I would like to thank Kids for Kids for changing my life and igniting my unparalleled passion in serving the community.
Follow Chantni's work on Instagram at Lives Without Knives. You find all the links in the show notes as always. Today, I would also love to invite you to join our members platform at #Impact Club. It gives you access to monthly virtual coffee breaks you can access from wherever you are in the world, as well as joining us at live podcast recordings with our super inspiring community. I will be there, and I'd love to see you there as well. You can join us at #impact.com/club. Thanks so much for being with us today. Talk to you soon. Bye.
A lot of different outcomes could have happened, different paths. But I do believe in having that mentoring mindset in everything I do, in every day, every hour of my day. And to hear the beautiful. So for me, who do I think is making change and doing SDGs? It's the young people. So I would reverse and I would say Bailey is my inspiration. The Bailey and the many others that will come after her, and also the ones have come before her through Kids to Kids, because we've got some amazing social entrepreneurs that hopefully could be guests on your show, that are also making a difference in all the different ways. And when we try to look back, it's the mindset that was instilled in them from young. So I have full confidence in the young people, and I give it to them. I applaud the young people because they will be going further ahead, beyond me, to the next 10 years, 20 years, the next generation, who they impact in the place of work, in the place of community, and all that. So it's them. I mean, I applaud them. It's Bailey and all the young people. So thank you for giving me this chance to, through Kids to Kids, to do this. I mean, I could do it with my own two kids, but I thought, hang on a minute, the two of them might not be able to change the whole world. Let's do more. So I have, I really believe in the young people.